Football Unknown.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a new episode of the Football Unknown podcast, man. We're on our 41st episode. It's been a journey with you guys, and we cannot wait to introduce our new guest, very special guest, and I'm going to have her introduce ourselves. So, guest, can you please introduce ourselves before we begin this podcast?
Thank you. My name is Paula Quintero, and
Okay.
I'm a football player,
Okay.
and I do other things amongst that, but
Mhm.
I'm from Colombia, and I was raised in Miami.
Okay. So, you were born in Colombia, and then you were raised in Miami. When did you come to Miami? Like, when did you move over to
I was
Miami?
born in Colombia, and then at the age of 10, literally on my birthday, July 4th,
Okay.
is when we moved to Miami.
Wait,
Florida.
so your birthday is July 4th.
Yeah, my birthday is July 4th.
That's interesting. I'm pretty sure that it's a very interesting time of the year for you, huh? Very
Yeah.
fun time of the year.
Yeah, and it was a cool moment for us as a family because, you know, we're going into a whole new life.
Okay.
We go to the United States,
Yep.
and then it's July 4th, so then we just see fireworks.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
it's like-
interesting. So did your whole family come to the U.S. together, or like was it you had some and then you guys just came over? And
So my whole family is in Colombia, in Bogota, where I'm from, but I moved in with my parents and my
Mhm.
brother.
Oh, okay. So and do you go back there often, back to your hometown in Colombia?
At first I used to go almost every year, then I started playing college, and but then surprisingly after college I got an opportunity that
Yep.
then led me back.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get to that. So growing up before you moved, is there anything you could remember? Growing up in Colombia before you moved at the age of 10.
Yeah, honestly, as a little girl, I didn't think soccer was a career or anything for women. I never saw girls playing soccer. I was kind of like the only one, at least in my area.
Mm-hmm.
So I played tennis, actually.
Oh,
It
okay.
was a competitive, I competed a lot in it.
Yep.
And it wasn't until I came to United States where I saw like two other girls play, and then I was like, what is this? Like, I'm not the only girl that plays soccer,
Yep.
and more doors opened up now.
Interesting. Was there like a lot of people playing tennis in Colombia, or was it just like something that you just caught?
I think
caught your
it,
attention,
yeah,
but it wasn't really
it's
popular.
something, it was popular
Oh, okay.
as well, and like obviously you also saw a lot of girls playing tennis as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mainly because of my family. My family were also like, we played tennis for fun, and
Okay.
then they
Oh, okay.
just put us, like my brother and I, in the tennis club, and I
Yep.
loved it. Practice every day. Even when I came to Miami, I still played tennis competitively.
Interesting. Okay, so that leads me into the famous question on the Football Known podcast, where we ask you, can you remember the first time that you fell in love with the game of soccer?
Oh my gosh. Wow, it's crazy because I felt like I always loved the game.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think it was like a male sport, so I just didn't have the access to it, to like, even when I played in school, like guys would just not like pass me the ball or like not let me play because I'm a girl. So
Yep.
I think when I fell in love with it is when I had access to the game.
Ah.
Like in school, it was normal for me to play soccer with everyone, and even the boys were like, "Yeah, be in my team," and I was like, "Okay." And then the moment happened when I joined Doral Soccer Club.
Oh,
My dad
okay.
went to put in my brother into the club, and then
Yep.
I saw two girls,
Yep.
and I was like, "I want to be in it too." And my dad was like, what?
Yep.
Okay, fine. Can we put her in? And then they're like, yeah, there's other girls playing. Like, she's more than welcome to. And then I started playing it. And since then, I think that's when I started my soccer career.
Interesting. So back in Colombia, so you spoke about not having access to really like grow a love for the game.
Mm-hmm.
So was it throughout Colombia where you didn't really have that much access to the game, like a lot of other females playing the sport?
I think it was that. I just didn't see other females playing the sport.
Yeah.
Even though now I'm aware that we have the 99ers
Yep,
of the U.S.
yep.
They did all of this. But as a little girl, I never really saw them because I was in Colombia.
Mm-hmm. So coming up, and then playing for Doral. So bring me back to when you first went to your first ever practice.
Oh my gosh.
Playing all girls. Like, how did you feel?
It's interesting because at first it wasn't all just girls. It was just a couple girls
Yep.
and then like boys.
Okay.
And I was competing in tennis, so I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna stay in tennis for now because I loved competing in it, and I was really good at it. So I left it for a while, and then I was missing soccer again, and I saw my brother in practices, and then I realized, or I found out, that now there was a whole girls club, a whole girls team.
Yep.
So then I was like, okay, now I want to join again. And then I joined that whole girls club,
Yep.
and then that's when I like loved it to the point where I was competing in tennis and soccer at the same time, traveling for it. And my soccer coach told me, look, you have to make a decision between the two because you're traveling to like Daytona to miss a soccer game for tennis. And I sat down with my parents and I was like, I love tennis so much, but I love soccer so much too. This is so hard. So I just leaned with my heart and I chose soccer, even though I was better at tennis.
So talk to me about quickly on tennis. Like how do you compete? Like, is it like a team? Like, how does that work? Like competing competitively?
Tennis is more of an individual. Like you have your coach, but obviously you have singles and you have doubles. So with doubles, you do have a partner, but singles, it's like, it's just you. And sometimes the coach isn't, because it was a club, he wasn't really watching all of my games. It was mainly like just me, myself, and I.
Really?
And my parents, obviously. So it's just me. And I liked it, but I think the personality I had at the time, I was a very, very shy girl. I like needed that social push to then push me, like
exactly,
to have more friends, for example.
So there'd be games where your coaches wouldn't come.
Yeah, because it's one coach and it's like a lot of us.
Oh,
it's a club. It was a club.
Okay.
He did obviously train us. But yeah, when the tournaments, it was just like me. Sometimes of what I can remember. And how old did you decide to leave tennis to pursue soccer? I remember I was in middle school. I think it was like the age of 12 or 13. It's when I decided to just lean into soccer and quit tennis.
So at the age of 12, 13, and then you went full into the Doral
Soccer Club.
So how was that for you? Like, you know, like your first year playing competitive soccer, right? I'm pretty sure you've never really played competitively before that. How was that?
So Doral Soccer Club at the time, and I think it's still recreational. So I competed in that, then it turned into AC Milan Doral Club or something. And then from that, I started doing well, and my coach recommended me to play at a higher level. So then I had to make a decision of like leaving my club where I like kind of had already been playing with, and I had all these friends, to then leave to another club in Kendall. And I actually went with one of my friends. We played a Y League, it was called at the time, and the level was already like traveling competitive. So it's what I needed to up my game more.
Absolutely.
So I decided to just go up that next level, and that's when I joined Kendall.
So before we talk about the Kendall experience, what are some things that you saw that you had to improve in? Or like, what are some things that you saw that you had to that you did improve in while playing for Doral?
I think this is something I struggled throughout like my whole life in my soccer career, but definitely my confidence is something that I've always struggled because I was like so shy, and that's one. And then being more aggressive is another one. Even as a little girl, and even now, like, those things are something I've always needed to improve in. But when I went to like Kendall, it helped me first find my position, because at first I was just playing, and then the one coach put me in the center midfielder. And then that like changed my whole game forever.
So how long did you spend at Doral before you made the move to Kendall?
I think I spent it like maybe a year or two. Only
year or two. So moving up to Kendall, like, did you feel any difference or see any difference competitive wise?
Yeah, definitely.
To the competition and
definitely. The speed of play, the technical ability, like everything was way was better.
So what are some like things that you knew, that you saw that, okay, like for me to match this, I have to improve on this and that before I can really blossom into the player that I want to be in this team?
Yeah. Well, my dad was someone that was always really involved and believed in me from since I was that small. So I would train with him separately.
Oh,
I would
okay.
go to training with Kendall, and then I would train with him after or before.
Yep.
And he would tell me, like, he would give me tips on how to become better, especially with my technical abilities, or even like shooting. Shooting is something that I worked on so much with him, and even private coaches. And that's why I got like more power on my foot. Yeah.
What are some of those tips? if you could remember any, and if you would like to share them.
I think when I was little, like, I think this was when I was playing already in Doral Soccer Club, and he was teaching me. He just needed me to know what part of the foot to hit the ball with more power. So he would like grab my foot and then just speak and be like, you have to hit the ball here and hit it this way and like lean this way, and then like follow through and like all of that. But also I would watch soccer with him, like watch, for example, Barcelona is a team that we followed a lot.
Okay, is that your favorite team or just a team?
Yeah, I like Barcelona. I mean, we followed that team since what, like 2010 or
so
even
yeah.
The same with Arsenal, but I just remember clearly Barcelona, and just growing up I would watch this player Xavi Hernandez, who's now the coach. I would watch him so much because he was so smart. His vision is crazy, and his passes, so that's someone that I would watch and I would try to play like.
So moving up to Kendall, what position did you end up playing?
Yeah, so I then found out I was good at being a center mid.
Okay.
Because my coach just put me there one time, and then that's when I started like excelling in my soccer career. And then I realized I'm better more of like attacking than defending, because like I said, I always struggle with being aggressive. So attacking mid.
Yep. And how long did you spend at Kendall?
I don't really remember how long, but I had to then make a decision to go to a better level afterwards.
So also you moved up to a higher club after Kendall.
Yeah.
What club was that?
It was Pinecrest Premier.
Oh, I think I've heard of Pinecrest. How far was it from where you lived?
It's quite a drive.
Yeah.
I would say like 40 minutes.
Yep. Okay, that's not too bad.
And then we won states.
Oh, you guys won
state champions. Yeah.
So was it like a similar? Was it like the same league or like a higher league?
It was a higher league because they played Region 3. It was at the time.
What is Region 3 if you don't?
I think I don't know what it is now, but I would assume it's similar to ECNL now.
Okay.
I think we just competed like the best teams in each region.
Yep.
And we would travel like not just through car, but like we would fly to play games. Fly. Yeah.
So is it okay? So it's sort of like higher than ECNL, right? A little higher, maybe.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it is now.
Yeah.
But we used to fly to play like our games.
Yep. And how do you think you did during that time playing for
I think that
Pinecrest?
also helped me with my level because it was then a lot more challenging level wise.
Okay.
And
let's break that down. What are some challenges that you faced
okay,
playing for that club?
The girls were faster, they were stronger, just the speed of play was faster again. Yeah, it was just more competitive overall.
So how did you adapt to that? Like how did you like improve yourself to be able to compete at that level?
Yeah, so I always have trouble with adapting to teams at first because I was like so shy and I'm like like timid.
Yep.
So I wouldn't really show everything about my game yet, or I would like be scared to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So it always took me a while to adapt to teams, but eventually once I break through, then that's when I start like playing my game and excelling.
Absolutely. Yep.
Once you have that confidence that also the coach gives you.
Yep.
So all my life, like my coaches believed in me so much even when I didn't. And I think that helped me have a better career in soccer.
Absolutely. And how long did you spend at Pinecrest?
I believe my junior and senior year. Okay. Just my junior year or sophomore. Maybe a year or two.
So you spent a year there. Did you move on to another club?
Yes, I did.
What was that other club?
So it was
kept on moving up the level, huh?
It was a tricky situation because of my age. And coming from Colombia, I had to do like an extra year in school. So I was, when all of my teammates graduated high school from Pinecrest, I was still left, like I still had a senior year. So I didn't have a team anymore because all of my friends, all of my teammates graduated. So I had to find a team, and I went to Weston.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I went to Weston. I was the oldest one, but they decided to play like, is it maybe an age up so I can play with them?
Yep.
And it's because I knew the coach. The coach, he knew of me since Kendall, so he helped me a lot. Like, put the group in a bigger age group so I can play with them.
Yep. And so you went to Weston and you played attacking mid?
Yeah, I played attacking mid. Always.
And how old were you at the time?
This was my senior year.
Senior, so like
18, 17?
Yeah, about there.
18.
Yep. And I'm guessing Weston, that was a higher league too, right? A higher division you're playing in, or was it about the same as Pinecrest?
We didn't. At the time there was a higher division, which was Weston Black.
Okay.
And they competed in the league that like Pinecrest was competing in with.
Yep.
But I couldn't play with them because of my age. So I was just in a different league. I mean, it was still good level, and we would like have practice games against this team, so it was really good. But yeah, it wasn't like a Region 3, I don't think.
Yep. So how would you say you did, playing at Weston?
I did really well. And during that time is when I had a really amazing opportunity to play for the U-20 Colombian national team.
Oh, okay.
So I, like, a few months of my senior year is when I was in Colombia.
Yep. So how did the Colombian national team, the U-20, get to know about you? And how did that happen?
Because I used to also guest play with some clubs, I got to know more of the girls and the coaches around, and they all knew I was from Colombia. And I remember, and my mom was always around. My dad tried to go to as much soccer games as possible, so they became close with like the parents and the coaches and stuff. So I remember he was a coach, and he told my parents that there were Colombian coaches coming in. They were gonna hold some practices. I think they were like private practices. They just wanted to look at girls. So obviously my parents took me to that practice, and we told my other friend about it too. And in that practice, I did really well, and the coaches went up to my parents and they're like, "Look, she should be playing in the Colombian national team. Like, let me help you. Like, get my contact info." They weren't the current coaches. They were like the past coaches. But they had obviously the contacts. So then my dad, he's always played also this like manager role.
Yeah.
Like coach, manager, everything.
Dad. Dad.
So then he went on to like try to find this contact, and he found a direct link to the head coach. And then talked to him. Then he's like, "Okay, yeah, come to a training. We want to see your daughter." We flew to Colombia. I had like a tryout. I did well, but he obviously knew I wasn't like in good shape that much at the time. And then he gave me another chance, and he was like, "Look, you have this amount of time. If you come back in like I think a month, and you're not fit, then you're not coming anymore. Like that's it." So I had to train like 3 times every day to get fit, because this was my dream, to play for Colombia. And then a month later, come in and I make the team.
Wow. So the private training, was it like invite only? Or like, if you just knew of you,
I think you
charge?
had to like know of someone. It wasn't something that was advertised that a lot of girls went. It was just a couple of girls that went, that were Colombian.
So when you heard of like the U-20 Colombian women's national team may be interested in you like the first time, like what are the feelings, like what was going through your head at that time, if you could recall?
I was excited, but I was scared, and I was super nervous. All the feelings, and also because of my personality, I'm like have like anxiety.
Absolutely.
But it was amazing. Overall, a great experience. It's a dream come true.
So you flew down there the first time, and then I'm pretty sure you saw like a difference in the style of play, in the level. So talk to me about the differences compared to what you were used to in the U.S.
big difference in style of play, and you could see it in my game, and the coaches could see it in my game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot, at the time it was a lot more technical and
Okay.
skillful.
Yep.
And like just you have to be like really precise with your touches.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as fast paced or like
Okay.
athletic
Yep.
wise, but just the touches, the
Mhm.
skills, like
Yeah,
these
very
girls,
technical, right?
yes, extremely technical. So I had to work on that as well, and
Yep.
then I mean my fitness I had to work on.
But I'm sure you were already close enough to the level for them to even be considering you,
Yeah.
right?
I'm assuming so.
Yep. And it was more so your fitness is what the coaches, gave you feedback on that you have to improve
Yeah.
if you want to come back.
Yeah, that
So-
was mainly it.
So after you heard that and you came back up to US, what were some things that you incorporated in your routines
Oh my gosh.
to be able to make sure that you're fit enough when you come back? You could just
Yeah. And this
form.
was like during, like, this is January. So I think I don't think I was going, oh, maybe I was. I don't remember. But anyways,
Yep.
I definitely had to change my routine
Mhm.
a lot.
Mhm.
I hired a personal trainer.
oh
So he gave me like also a plan to do, like
Mhm.
go run in the morning, then we'll meet for practice at this time, and then rest, have lunch, and then we have practice again. So it's like almost 2 to 3 times every day, and
Yep.
then obviously a rest period,
Yep.
like a day or two.
So what were you used to before that?
Before that, I wasn't training as much as
Yeah,
that.
yep.
For sure, I wasn't
Yep.
running on
Mhm.
my own.
Mhm.
Like I was just going to club practice.
Yep, yep.
That's it.
So what are
Pretty
some
much.
like, because I'm pretty sure to be able to do all of that training, additional training on a consistent basis,
Yeah.
you had to bypass some mental barriers, right, to even get to make it a routine. So like, what are some things that you did mentally to
Yeah.
help you with that
I
for people
think-
listening out there?
I think for myself mentally, I had this vision and I had this dream
Yep.
of like, this is where I want to get to no
Yep.
matter what.
Yep.
And I know I have to put in the work. I put in everything,
Mhm.
all out, like
Mhm.
gym, running, everything, because I was so focused
Yep.
on what I wanted.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that motivated me to do the work and to put in the work and get to where I got.
Absolutely. And was there any other like female players around you that was, doing a similar thing that gave you motivation to do it as well? Or was it just, you had that goal and that's all what motivated you to want to push yourself?
Yeah, I think it was more of a me thing.
Yep.
I didn't really see other girls, but I didn't also pay attention to other girls
Mhm.
at the time.
Yep.
I just remember seeing like the competition that I had
Mhm.
when I went to the tryout,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, those girls were like my competition
Yep.
because they were also trying out for
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for getting a spot in the team.
Yep.
But it was more of a individual thing.
Absolutely. Okay. So now you went to Colombia the second time.
Yeah, the second
The
time.
second time, a month later,
Yeah.
back in Colombia. How did that? It was a tryout again, right? Second tryout, or like more like training with the team to kind of see how.
It was more training with the team.
Okay.
They had the team, or like they had a base already
Yep.
set, and they just allowed me to train with them,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's where they would be like yes or no, and they ended up saying yes,
Yep.
and I was like still shocked. I
Mhm.
couldn't believe it,
Mhm.
and
So all of the hard work you were already
Yeah.
doing before it paid off, right?
the hard work definitely paid off.
Was there anything your coach told you after you came back that like gave you that satisfaction, knowing okay, yeah, I did or am doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
I think the coach mainly spoke to my dad, if I'm
Ah.
being real. He's the manager, the agent, everything.
Yep.
And I didn't really have like that connection
Yep,
with
with
the
the-
coach
okay.
as a 18-year-old.
Yep. So after you get accepted, right? Like you're on the team now. They told you you're on the team.
Yeah.
What was the next steps? Like, did you stay an extra 2-3 weeks to train? Did you go back up with the expectancy of coming back down?
Mhm.
Like how did that process go?
The next step after that is just tournament mode. So
Ah.
I think I did go back to maybe get my stuff. I don't
Yep.
remember how much time in between I had, but then just had to like, and this time I had to go by myself from my house to meet up with the team from my house in Miami to meet up in the team, and I remember I was crying so much because this is the first time I flew by myself,
Okay.
and I'm like just on my own, going to the Colombian national team.
Yep. And how old were you at that time?
I was 18.
18.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wasn't that little, but I still, because of my personality, I've
Yep.
always been like so spoiled. My parents like always had me like this. It was hard for me to like get out of my comfort zone
Yep.
and
Exactly.
do this by myself and
Yep.
don't play for the Colombian national team, which is my dream, or was my dream. To then show up at the hotel, train with the girls, people I don't know. A lot of them already know each other for years because a lot of them played for the U15s, U17s, and I was like the new girl, and
Yep.
then I came from the US.
Yeah.
So then that's like another thing,
Yep.
like socially. After that, we flew to Uruguay. That's where the FIFA World Cup qualifiers were
Yep.
held at.
Yep.
And then I was just like living in a dream, but at the same time also nervous and scared and anxious. And I just wanted to have playing time, but if I didn't, this is still like a dream come true.
Dream come true. Okay. So we're definitely gonna cover all of that. So first, so you were flying from Miami to Colombia
Yeah.
to meet up with the team, and then you guys flew to Uruguay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you talked about the social aspects of the team, where you were looked at as the new girl, as the girl
Yes.
from the U.S. Like, can you talk to me about that stigma?
Yeah,
that
it's a stigma.
that you get, that
Yeah.
that is related to Colombians coming from the U.S., and how does that dynamic work?
Yeah, and it's still true today. I faced it even when I was older and went back to playing there.
Yep, I'm sure. Definitely.
But it's different because these girls are born, raised in Colombia, and then they see like another girl coming from the US, and it's just different for them. It's like different kind of culture.
Absolutely.
And in Colombia, obviously at that time you've already heard of like the US women's national team, and
Oh, yeah.
they have this standard of like anyone that's coming from the US is so good and like elite. So like I feel like for them it's also a thing of like, oh, this girl might be better than me, like she's my
I see.
competition
Yep.
instead of like my teammate.
Yep.
And then it's also that like language barrier. I mean, I speak Spanish fluently, but they still like know I'm from the US, so they're like, they also know that from the US, like you live in the US, you maybe are more privileged than them.
Yeah,
So then that's another factor
That's a big
of
one.
like, oh, this girl is coming from the US, she's rich, like she has all these opportunities in the world. Like,
Yep.
we had to like fight to be where we are, and then she just comes in.
Yep. Did that bleed into how they were treating you? Like could you tell, or it wasn't that big, to where you could tell, but you knew subconsciously that it was about that? Like it was
I think
sort
so,
of.
at first I definitely felt like not welcome that much, simply because I came from there. But eventually, like, they got to know me, and I was someone that really was super quiet and didn't really speak, and I was just there, just watching. But
Very likable too.
yeah. I had a roommate. They actually paired me with one of them. She like never spoke to me at all, nothing, zero. And I think it's because she came from a really, really like poor background, and I came from this privileged background.
Yep.
So she like never talked to me until like eventually like broke off, and then we became like really good friends.
Oh, really? Was it after the trip or after the?
It was like towards the end.
Or towards the end.
Because
Okay.
she realized like, okay, she's not like, she's humble, like she's kind of privileged, but like,
but she's humble.
and like even my dad, even he was there. I think he came maybe to visit before or something, but he even helped her out with like giving her money, even though she didn't want to accept
W
it.
dad again. W dad.
But she was like, wow, like that's so nice. And
It's funny because it's sort of like the opposite on the men's side, where you come from the U.S. people like they're like, who is this guy? Like,
Oh,
if you go to
really?
Colombia, you go to Europe, they're like like
funny.
the level of soccer in the U.S. compared to Europe or in South America, for sure. It's like it's a little higher compared to the U.S. system. So like it's kind of interesting how it's like the opposite for the females.
yeah, I mean at the time, I know now
At the
it's
time
different.
it's different. And now it's different. By the time
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
that. Okay. So talk to me about how everything went with the in Uruguay. like the day to day, like, first I'm guessing you guys practiced before you played any games, right? I'm guessing it was
Yes.
3 games. You guys played 3 games in a group. Like, how was it structured? If you
Oh
if
my
you could remember.
gosh, I don't remember. I don't really remember. I just remember
Yeah, what do
I
you
played
remember?
in one game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Which game was that?
We were already eliminated,
Mhm.
and we played against Bolivia.
Oh.
And I started, and
Okay.
I got that feeling of like walking out
Yeah.
to the FIFA national
Yep.
anthem, and then
Yep.
you like sing your national anthem,
Mhm.
and I was crying, I was bawling, like I couldn't. I'm like, is this real? Is this not real?
Mhm.
Like, this is a
Mhm.
dream come true. Then
Mhm.
all my teammates, they've done it for a while since like
Yep.
they were 15.
Yep. So they're used to this.
And they were
Another day
like,
in the
why are
office,
you
huh?
crying? And they're like, what is wrong with this girl? She's crying. Like, you're supposed to just be chill.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, one person in the team, the captain, she guided me the whole way. And because of her, I was able to play one of my best games.
Oh, really? So do you remember any of the other teams? Because Bolivia is an interesting opponent, right? Do you remember any of the other teams you guys
Yeah,
played
of
against?
course. I rember Brazil.
Ah,
Brazil.
Brazil.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
They were so talented. They were
Yep.
so good. We lost against them. And
Mm-hmm.
they ended up winning that.
Win the whole thing?
Yeah, the qualifier. But also Venezuela was pretty good too.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, Venezuela.
Yep.
I remember those
Yep.
teams.
So talk to me about like what you saw with the game against Bolivia, right? Compared to all of the other games you've played in your career this thus far, right? You're going to play against Bolivia. Was there any differences in the way they played, right? In their skill level? Anything you saw that was any different than what you were used to?
Honestly, and this could be another topic as well, but
Mhm.
Bolivia, they don't have as much resources
Ah,
and
Yep.
coaches and all of that
I see.
stuff.
Yep.
So you played against a team that doesn't have as many resources as a Colombian team,
Mhm.
for example.
Mhm.
And obviously, like, we were superior playing wise,
Mhm.
but it leads on to like so many other things of why. So Bolivia wasn't like the toughest opponent, but then you have Brazil, which was like the toughest opponent and just incredibly skilled.
Absolutely. Yep.
So because it wasn't like such a big challenge, I would say,
Yep.
I was able to, be like myself. Like I was
Exactly.
my player finally, to the
Mhm.
point where everyone was surprised and were
Yep.
like, wow, like you actually know how to play.
Mhm. So you were able to get comfortable quick
Yeah.
and confident quick.
Yeah, I was not.
Wow.
I was not confident for the longest time,
Mhm.
especially there, being the new girl, being like
Yep.
the outsider
Mhm.
that's coming in. I struggled a lot with that, but then
Then you played that
in
game.
this game, I was in the zone, I
Yep.
was flowing, and then surprised everyone.
Absolutely. So what were some comments after the game
Oh my gosh, yeah.
that you got that made you realize that, wow, like you surprised everyone.
Yeah, it was coming from almost all my teammates.
Mm.
And then my coaches.
Okay.
And my coaches didn't really speak to me much.
Yep.
But from my teammates, I got in the bus after and they're like, good job, like you did so good. From like, I think it was a psychologist at the time.
Yep.
He's like, wow, because I was super quiet, the most quietest. You would never hear me speak.
Mhm.
He was like, oh my gosh, like you know how to play. You're so good. Like, wow, it was amazing to see you that way. And then from my coaches, like, absolutely killed the game. We'd like
Wow.
to speak to you more.
Yep.
Like, then spoke to my parents after more to be able to like continue but after that, my mindset was to go to college.
Interesting.
So
to recap on that, right? On that experience. So you came in, nervous but excited, something that's has been like one of your dreams to do, and then you get there and it's sort of a kind of weird environment where socially it's kind of difficult for you, right? And then you're that person that's normally quiet, timid, and then from the entire tournament you got to play that last game, and then you played against Bolivia, and then you had that crazy game, and then all you're getting is just positive feedback from your coaches, the staff, the players.
yes.
Wow. I'm sure you took all of that in on the airport, on the plane coming back to the
Yeah.
US. So how did that really help you to now back in the US and help you your game?
And honestly, as soon as I came back from that tournament, my game like elevated from that experience.
Absolutely.
Like my skills, my technical abilities, I was like flowing. I was cutting people left and right. Like I was playing so good after that experience because of the type of practices we had, the type of training we had. You know, it was so technical and so like focused on skills that it elevated my game.
Absolutely. Do you think confidence also played a bit in it? Like, do you think like you came back a little more confident because you felt like you had a bit more experience?
Yeah.
And coming from that positive feedback you got from everyone, right?
Yeah, I agree. Confidence definitely elevated a little more for sure. And that helped me then get into college.
Absolutely.
Like that confidence I needed from
Yep.
this experience to then have
To make that jump into college.
to make that jump. Exactly.
So you came back up now looking to pursue college, right? How did you go about that? Like, what was the events that you had to, you know, undergo to get yourself to a good college?
Okay, so I had a scholarship to go to FIU.
Okay.
The head coach at the time, he had seen me play since I was in 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
So I actually played up with his club team in Kendall.
Yep.
The girls were
Kendall
4 years older than me, so I would play up with them some games.
Wow.
So that helped me as well, and obviously having that relationship with the coach. But I did not know what I was putting myself into.
Why do you say that?
I heard stories of like, if you're gonna play for FIU, like make sure you're really fit. Like you're just gonna run the whole time. You're not gonna touch a ball. And I'm like, oh, I'll be fine, you know. Like I really didn't prepare myself as much, and that paid a price.
Interesting. Were you going in the springs or the fall?
I was going into the fall
Into
of
the
my
fall.
freshman year.
Freshman year.
Well, summer then fall.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, was it like a lot more running, a lot more conditioning
Gosh.
that you weren't even used to?
Exactly that.
Wow.
I wasn't. I mean, in club, like we didn't really do fitness that much. And myself, like I knew I had to prepare myself, and like I ran here and there, but I didn't really run.
Right. Not compared to how you were, you know, training yourself for the second try opportunity.
Yeah, I didn't do that either. And yeah, my freshman year was tough.
Yep. So talk to me about that. Like, you know, you walked in,
trauma.
like let's unpack the trauma. So how was that? Like, what did they make you guys do?
Oh my gosh. So it started with like summer workouts. It's optional, but it's really not optional, especially for freshmen. So we just had to run miles after miles after miles and do a lot of running. But that didn't even compare to the amount of running we had to do preseason and then like coming into season.
Yep.
That was just a whole new level. I thought I was like in the army.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this?
Oh man.
And I was just, everyone was suffering. And to the point where like a lot of girls quit too.
Oh, they
And
left?
it was known for that. Like FIU was known those years for girls to just quit because it's too hard.
Interesting. Yeah.
You're just running more than the track team and you're killing yourself running.
Yep. So, apart from that, like how long did it take you before you could get used to that environment, get used to that conditioning?
Look, what I went through my freshman year, and I know all my freshmen, my teammates are gonna laugh if they see this, but after that, I was like, I never want to go through this again. I'm gonna be really fit from now on and like be prepared coming into summer, like do the work early because that's what you need. Yeah, I did not want to experience what I experienced. And it's just good for you if you're prepared for your season, you're physically there, mentally there, like you're gonna have a good season.
Absolutely. Yep. So moving into did you play much your freshman year?
I actually did. I never passed my fitness test, but I was one of the freshies that got playing time.
Okay. How was that? You know, how was experiencing the college game, right? Coming into the freshman.
Yeah, that's then another level up because even comparing it to Colombia, it's just a different level of fitness and also faster paced. Like Colombia was more like technical and skill focused, but then this was like you had people like faster than some track
Yep.
people already. Strong, like their legs are big, their muscles, like everything. Definitely more gym. I never did gym like to that level before.
Yep. Interesting.
It's just, yeah, you're an athlete.
How did you say you did, right? Playing your first few games freshman year.
I
You know,
honestly,
is it what you expected?
not what I expected
Mm-hmm.
because, and this is just me like innocent, not knowing much about college and how actually like the level wise and the work you have to put in, the effort and just the lifestyle, because you have to balance it with school at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's another level for sure, I would say. But I mean, regardless, like I performed well. I had good minutes and good playing time. I traveled my freshman year, as opposed to like a lot of freshies don't usually even see the field.
Yep.
So I did well with what I had.
Absolutely. And how was the academic part of it, right? Like how was adapting to the work the school workload?
Yeah.
You know, was it like challenging for you at first, I'm sure? Or was it pretty easy?
Yeah. I would say when you're a freshman you have a lot of support from
Advisors, I'm guessing.
From your advisors, and being an athlete as well, you have like extra support and like tutors and you have to, as a freshman we had to like have several hours in the studio or in the library. Study hall, that's what
Study
it's called.
hall.
Yeah, study hall. We were forced to have that, so that definitely helped. The tutors definitely helped, and just anything we needed, like we had it.
Interesting.
So that helped us academically.
Yep. What did you choose, like to study as your major? Like did you have like a clear idea of what you wanted to do yet, or you were just trying to figure it out?
Honestly, all I wanted to do was play soccer.
Exactly.
Like I could care less about what to study. So at first I'm like, oh, psychology like sounds interesting, and I did that. I'm like, wait, no, it's like I'm not really into that much. It's like so much memorization and like words that I had no idea what. So then I switched majors and I went into sports management, like related to sports, and then minor in marketing.
Yep.
And then I started discovering it that way.
So talk to me about your sophomore year, because you said you went into the summer that you're vowing to yourself that you're gonna be prepared. You don't want to experience what you experienced the first year. You're gonna come in ready. How was your sophomore year?
Look, I thought I was ready, and I thought I definitely put a lot more work coming into my sophomore year, but I still wasn't at that fitness level required, because I'm telling you, it was elite. Like you had to be amazing at fitness, and I'm gonna be honest, I still didn't pass the fitness test, but I was more experienced.
Exactly, you did a lot better. You improved.
And soccer wise, I was one of the most technical players, so that helped me.
Absolutely.
Even if I wasn't the fittest, like technically I was one of the like better players. So I had even more playing time my sophomore year, and I was just going up the ladder.
Slowly improving.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you know why the fitness like structure was just so intense? Like, do you know like the reasoning behind it?
It was all the head coach. The head coach.
It was just his idea to just like 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 if the girls are really fit, they're gonna be really good, and that's just what he pushed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think so.
So moving into your so going into the summer, were you like still trying to improve as well?
Yeah, definitely. I still wanted to improve fitness wise, everything, like even my game I wanted to improve more. And I leaned on a lot to like the seniors, for example, as leaders.
Okay. And
also you get to a point where now you're turned into a leader, so now you have to like help the younger,
use what you're learning for the
yeah.
So what are some things, like how would you lean into those seniors? Like would it be like more like advice you'd be looking for, or them giving you guidance, or the mix of the both? Like talk to me about that.
Right now I remember more like my freshman year, because I definitely needed more guidance. Like everyone knew like, okay, she's talented, she's skillful. It's just the fitness side. Oh my gosh, like even the goalie was like lapping me, I'm like, But that's when like the senior, they see my potential, and they want to guide me, they want to get the best out of me. They talk to me, like I remember one of them came up to me, talked to me and said, look, because I remember I was crying. There's a point that I was so bad at fitness that I got kicked out of practice for being so bad at it.
Really?
In my freshman year. Yeah, this is a story that was like told even when I was a senior to the freshies, like, look, you have to be fit because look what happened to her, So, but yeah, the leadership from that senior class helped me a lot and become better and have more confidence in myself.
Absolutely. So how was your junior year?
My junior year, I think, was one of the best ones.
Oh, talk to me
Yeah.
about that. Why do you think it was one of your best years in college?
Junior and senior.
Yep.
Both of them. I'll mix them together because I was already more experienced. I already knew what to expect. Also fitness wise, I was like on it too. So I finally was able to, be at a good fitness level, like finally. Because I was already confident because of my fitness was good and I had the experience, I had the support. Like I had a really good season.
Absolutely.
I would say.
Yep. I think that's interesting too because I feel like for you to really see your full potential, you have to have that element of fitness.
Yeah,
you need
that's
to be really fit. That's when you could really see how far you could push yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So and then you said that was for your junior and senior year.
Yeah, senior year I was actually captain. One of the captains.
You're just a captain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's interesting because I come in from being this freshie that's just like
Yeah,
dying
yep,
and like
didn't even know what to expect.
A senior captain. Yeah.
So how was that transformation? Like looking back at it, like are you pleased with the way you transformed throughout those 4 years?
Yeah, definitely. And just that whole experience, I know it's traumatic, but it helps me a lot be more not only physically stronger but mentally stronger because when you go through like that those types of experiences, like you figure out what your body can really do.
Absolutely.
And like it takes you to your limit and above that, and it's like wow, it's an amazing feeling.
Do you think that goes for like both on and off the pitch?
Yeah, I agree. I think so.
Yep.
It's both on and off the pitch.
Yep. And what advice would you give to someone who or any females out there that are trying to enter into the college system? Like any like tips you want to give them, that are coming in, like what to expect?
I think some advice that I would tell these girls are prepare yourself, like do the work early, keep running. The fitness level, I know important. It's not everyone's favorite part, but it's really important. And if you come in fit to your season, it already makes it a bit easier.
Yep, exactly.
Because you're not catching up to others. You're already at this level. And like now you just have to focus on soccer, which is like
the fun part,
the
right?
fun part, exactly.
Yep.
But also confidence plays a big role on that. So like you have to believe in yourself so much.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you can have people, it could be friends, it could be even parents or coaches that don't really believe in you. So like you have to have that in you.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. So after your senior year, I'm guessing, were you still wanted to pursue a career in soccer, right? Or, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so like I said, I came into college just wanting to play soccer, like didn't really care about anything else. All I wanted is to play soccer, and I got to play it. And then because my dream is to play professionally, that's all I wanted to do. That's all I thought about. That's like after college, I want to play pro no matter what it takes. And that's again my vision. Like this is what I want. I'm gonna get it.
Absolutely.
So that was my mindset.
Yep. So what happened? What are some opportunities that came about during that time after you graduated?
So I graduated 2018, and at the time it wasn't like how it is now, where I feel like you have a lot more opportunities, or you're more aware of like the opportunities that you have. At least like there's even some girls that I would say most girls didn't even think of playing pro because they didn't really see other girls playing pro after college. Or they only thought it's like, oh, it's only like in the US, but like you can actually go play or try out in like other countries.
Yeah. And
the leagues are also good. And I remember I asked my coach at the time, it was another coach, I wanted help to keep playing the game, and she gave me a contact of someone to play in a summer league at first, because then that person could then give me more opportunities to play. And unfortunately, I couldn't take that. It was in Houston, and I had to reject it because someone in my family got sick. So I had to take care of that person.
Yep.
And then I found out that there was actually a team in the same league I was going to here in Miami. It's called
Okay.
FC Surge.
Yep.
So I stayed at home after college taking care of this person, and then I just went to try out for this WPSL team, FC Surge, and I'm so glad I did because I met amazing people. The girls, it's excellent club.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it doesn't exist anymore, but
Bummer.
it was one of like the best clubs for females in South Florida.
Talk to me firstly about like some of the people that you met.
It was like a bunch of girls from South Florida, even college girls or girls that had graduated already, that are now like some of my best friends, I would say. And even after playing for that club, I got so connected to them that we played like in other leagues afterwards, like for fun, like pick up, and I still like have a good connection to all of them, I would say.
How long did you spend at that WPSL team?
So the WPSL is only in the summer.
So
it's only like a few months.
Yep.
And every year I played with them, we always were like one of the best teams, I would say. And we even won conference when I played at least once or twice.
Yep.
But unfortunately we never had the resources to like keep playing like nationals or,
Yep.
But it was like the best level in South Florida.
And how many summers did you play there? Like 2, 3?
I think I played either 2 or 3 seasons with them.
Okay. Yep. 2, 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And what was next for you after that? Like
after that, I played that first season with them, and then that season they did a WPSL combine.
Okay.
And I got into the combine. It was, I don't remember exactly where it was, but they had painted it to be like a bunch of European coaches are gonna be there, like all this thing, and then you show up and it's like, oh, there's only one coach.
Wait a minute.
And like the level wasn't that good either. Okay. I think it was one of the first years that they did the combine, so it's fair. And then I met a guy that he was a football agent, so I decided to just trust him and go that route, and for him to give me more opportunities to potentially play overseas, like in Europe. And then that's when my journey started of like trying out for teams in Europe.
What are some countries that you went to in Europe?
And this is me like not knowing much about agents and how they work and stuff. So I just said like, we'll pay you whatever. Just like, I just want to play pro. And my dad as well, he was like my manager. So he was like reviewing the contracts and all of this. He asked for like 15%. And at the time I didn't think that was like that much. I just focused on the playing part.
Most players are definitely like that.
So he told us about an opportunity to go in Portugal and try out with like, you had an agency. It was me and like 4 other girls, and I was the only bilingual one. So I had to always be the translator, trying to translate Portuguese to English and then Spanish. But I was there for a month, and it was the first time of that agency dealing with females. So they weren't aware of like what level to put us in. So then we tried out with like a Division 2 team, and even the girls were like, what are you guys doing here? Like, you're too good for us, type of thing.
I see.
So then we just kept training, and then we got another tryout with a Division 1 team. And then the Division 1 team really liked us. But we came into a point where like they had already closed the roster. But they were willing to kick out some girls to put us in. And they said, but like, we don't have any money. So like, we won't pay you. We won't pay for housing. Actually, they said we can live with like some of the guys in housing. No transportation. Like, we would have to get a job part-time. And then some girls were in a situation where like, I think one had like bills to pay. Like, she was older. She had like a house and had to pay bills. Another girl like couldn't do it either. And I was one of the youngest with this other girl. I'm like, look, I'm willing to do it, like I just want to play. I just want to play pro. But just sitting down and talking like with my family about it, it just wasn't the best case, and like you're in a country where you don't really speak the language of, and you're just by yourself. So we ended up not taking that opportunity. And, months passed by, and then another opportunity comes where my agent was like, oh, we have another opportunity in Spain. come, like you'll stay in this place, pay me this. It was a lot of money that we had to pay this person because we weren't like educated in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And we also like tried out for different teams, but it was like the same case, or like problems with visa, like that
Yep.
that the club wasn't willing to help or anything, and the agent wasn't willing to help. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just
A lot
wasn't
of
a good
complications,
experience. Yeah, a lot of complications, and just the agent not like being
Fully transparent.
or like
And
helpful.
supportive, yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. So apart from that terrible experience, how
It
was
was a good experience
Yep, like
because I traveled.
exactly. So I'm gonna ask you, like, how was the culture, right? Like
Oh my gosh.
experiencing different cultures,
Yeah.
right? How was that for you compared to what you were used to?
I am so glad that I got those experience, even though obviously the soccer part
Mhm.
didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like on my own in Portugal with my friends.
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, at first we were with that like agency, so it was like practice,
Mhm.
like it was very like strict, and we were
Yep.
all living together. So like at a certain time you had breakfast, gym, dinner, all of that. But then when we went to Spain, it was like more free. So it's like me and the two girls, we just were living in this house with this lady. But then we just got to do whatever we wanted after practice, you know? Like we would just explore the city, like go to different places, restaurants, take the metro or like the train.
Yep. Yep.
Like it was so fun.
And I've heard that it's better than the trains and the metros here,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's a good system.
Yep,
It's a really
yep.
good system.
Okay.
I'm so glad I experienced that.
Mm-hmm. How's the food over there?
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
What can you remember, like, one of the dishes you would recommend to anyone who might be traveling to Spain or Portugal?
Oh, Spain, definitely the paellas.
Oh, okay. What's
And-
that?
Oh, it's like rice.
Oh,
rice
it's like-
with different things on it.
Okay.
It's amazing. I love it.
Okay.
I'm from Portugal. Like everything is good as well,
Mhm.
and just the quality of food is way better.
Yep, absolutely. So coming back from that experience,
Yeah.
like what was going through your mind at that time? Like, like were you considering, just maybe switching up the careers, or were you still trying to pursue soccer? Like, what was going on in your head?
I was still trying to pursue.
Absolutely.
I was still trying.
Yep,
I'm like
every real baller.
open. Yeah, yeah.
Every real baller.
I think I came back and I started actually doing more tryouts. So we heard about NWSL tryouts.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried out for 2 NWSL teams, and I don't know if you know the way it goes, but you have to pay a certain fee. It's like $100, and then obviously it's on your own to pay the plane tickets, housing, everything, and then it's like by sessions. And the first session, it's like also a little bit of fitness. It depends on the club.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of fitness games, little games, trainings, and then you get selected to then play like the 11s games at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I did 2 tryouts, and I always got selected to play at the end, the 11s
Yep.
games. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing well,
Yep.
but just at the end, you realize that like, and I'm just gonna be like very transparent in
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. Yep.
You realize it's also about like your experience and where you played, like, and your stats.
Absolutely.
So like, what college did
That's
you
very
go
important
to?
for the viewers to
Yeah.
hear too. Yeah.
It's like, what college did you go to? Like, if you went to a big college, obviously you're gonna get looked at more.
Mm-hmm.
If you like had this big stats for a good college, you're gonna get looked at more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also like about connections as
Yep.
well. That's what I found out through the process, and especially because I was with a friend of mine, and she knew like one of the coaches at the time, and they're like, because of that, like she got like more interest.
Absolutely.
And then they promised her like, yeah, we're gonna email you back, like obviously, like la la la. And then just they ended up not emailing her at all, like just
Yeah.
blank, because I feel like, yes, they're scouting for talent, but at the same time they already have like these
Yep,
players
exactly.
in
That
mind.
they're already watching.
Yeah, that
Yep.
they're already
I
watching. So
see.
it's really hard to
I
get through
see.
that.
Yep.
you know?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's more challenging, but it's still a good experience.
Exactly.
And
Like how was the level? Just playing amongst those. Was it like like a lot of elite level female athletes? Or how would you put it? How would you put it?
I would say like the tryouts.
Yep.
It's a variety. You get everything.
You get everything.
You get everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then it's when then you get selected into like these
the game, the 11.
the 11s games, then you see like the level, and it's usually it was high. It was
Yep.
a high level.
Yep.
But I remember even like playing center back in one of them and just trying my best. Because sometimes they need girls to just play different positions, and that's fine too, you know?
Yep.
It was a good experience, though. I'm glad I did it.
Absolutely. How was playing center back? You know, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. You weren't really excited to play center back, right? Like.
Yeah, but I mean, I just did it, and it was still fun. Like I didn't touch the ball as much. And it was like a different perspective. Like I got to see everyone. And I like that. You know, like the vision part. I've always liked. So it was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, you know, what was next for Paula? After that? You know, what was next after that?
Well, remember, just going back, I had this opportunity in Houston that I wasn't able to do. Then I'm like, oh, well, now I can do it. You know, my family member's good. We're all good. So I took it, and I went to Houston to play in the WPSL.
Okay.
Especially because it's something I wanted to do, like just get outside and like meet more people, have more connections. And I know this person was like always super supportive, the head coach. Like, absolutely. I even stayed at his house while I was there. And just like, I don't know what you want to call it, like coincidence, synchronicity, I don't know what. Just 2 weeks while I was there, I received a Facebook message by a head coach.
No way.
And this coach, remember, just going back to the Colombia private training. Okay, one of those coaches that was there, he messages me and he's like, hey, how are you doing? Like, I saw that you went to college. Like, are you still playing? And I said, yeah, I'm still playing. And then he said, well, I'm the head coach of a professional team in Colombia, and I would love for you to be in the team.
Wow.
And I was like, what? Like,
that's crazy.
I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I had to call my parents. Oh my gosh. And then I had to go talk to the Texas coach and tell him, and like, he was super happy for me, because the whole point of playing in the WPSL is also to play pro.
Absolutely.
After, so he was super happy for me, but I was only there for 2 weeks, so I didn't even get to play with him. But yeah, long story short, go to Miami, pack my bags, go to Colombia, and then I'm signing a contract, and it's my first professional contract.
So talk to me about, you know, when after you got that text and you're calling up your parents, whether it was your mom or your dad, and you're talking to them, like how did they feel? Like, what did they tell you?
Oh my God, my parents were so excited. First of all, we didn't know what club it was yet. In my head, I'm like, I hope it's the club I'm thinking of, because that's like the club that I'd want to play for. And also because it's my dad's like childhood dream to play for that club.
Interesting.
So we didn't know what club it was. And I'm like, yes, I'm there. And then I'm telling my parents on the phone, and they're like, oh my God, it's amazing. Like, okay, what's next? Like, let's do this. And we're buying you a flight here. We're going to Colombia. Like, we're going with you. Like, and it ended up being that club.
No way.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It was amazing.
Absolutely. So signing day, you know, you're going in. I mean, who came with you? Was it your dad, your both parents? You know, how was it?
I think it was, my dad works a lot, so it's probably my mom that came only with me, because she's a housewife. But she's always been there every step of the way.
Absolutely. Full support system.
Full support, yeah.
So it was your mom with you. You know, you're going in. What was the emotions, right? You're finally signing that contract with your the club that you dreamed of playing for in Colombia. You know, and signing that contract.
So I'm back in the city I was born in, in Bogota, Colombia. My grandmas are there, my aunts, my uncles, everyone is there in that city.
How life works, man.
Where my parents are born, like all of them. And yeah, I'm in, like, this contract is right in front of me. My mom is there, and I'm just reading through it, and I'm like, boom, signing. I can't believe this is happening. Like, it's a dream come true again.
Absolutely. So, and how long, you know, till you're out on the field, you know, training already? How soon after was that?
So this is something that a lot of people don't know, especially in the female game.
Okay.
And when you come from other countries, like from the US, the transfer process, at the time the club wasn't aware of like what to do, what are next steps, how do I get released from the US, because I didn't play pro in the US, but I played in the WPSL.
Yep, so you're still in the system.
And that's still in the system. I'm tagged US Soccer Federation.
Yep.
So it took so long for me to get released and like actually be able to play. It took like almost, I would say, like almost half the season. And the season is short.
Yeah.
The season in Colombia is like 4 months, 5 months.
No, half a season.
Almost half a season.
Almost half a season. But
I missed a lot of games.
You were still able to train, right?
Yeah. I trained the whole time. And at the time, I had no idea it was because of papers. I thought it was because I wasn't good enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought.
No one told you?
No one told me. No one told me anything.
Yep.
I was just never getting called to games. I was like,
Oh my
I was killing myself in
goodness.
practice, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought I had a good practice,
No
but no,
way.
I didn't. Then I was obviously crying, like, I suck. Like, I'm so bad at this. Like, I'm not even getting called until finally my head coach calls me. He's like, Paula, we need your help. Like, we need you to play. Like, can you please figure out this paper stuff? And then that's when I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
why did no one tell me that it was because of
wait.
papers?
Wait, so throughout this whole time that you're just training your heart out, right? And there was no one on the back end trying to fix the problem.
I think there was
were,
people, but
yeah.
they just didn't know what to do because also the language barrier.
I
Like,
see.
They
I
don't
see.
really speak English.
Yep,
They don't
yep.
really speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that players still like deal with.
Yeah.
Like even last year, I had friends dealing with that.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was when the coach, came to you with that desperate call,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That, like, what were the next steps from there? Like, what did you do to try and get that resolved?
Oh, called my dad.
Yeah.
My dad
Your
makes
dad-
things happen.
Absolutely. He's a man behind it all.
He really is. I'm
Yep.
telling you.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I made that call to my dad, he's like, all right, I'm on it. Emailed like US Soccer Federation. I don't know what he did.
Yep.
Just emailing, calling, emailing. And he made it work.
Wow. How long after did he manage to pull that off?
Honestly, I feel like not more than a week.
That's
like
crazy.
it happened so
W
quick.
again.
Yeah.
That is shout out again. That's crazy.
And
Yep.
obviously I get released. It's like the communication isn't great.
Mhm.
And then I get called to like, you're in the 18. And then
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, yay, I'm in the 18. Like I actually get to experience this for the first time.
Mhm.
And then my parents come into town, actually, just, I don't know if it was a coincidence, but they come into town. And then I tell them like, oh my gosh, like I actually got called to the 18. Like I got released, my papers work. And then I find out I'm a starter, like right away.
Oh.
And I'm like shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh. And we're playing against a rival.
Yep.
I think it was a rival at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't tell my parents because I want them to be surprised.
Mhm.
So they're at the stadium and then they just see me like walking in the
out.
lineup.
Yep.
And like I could already tell. Like my dad's probably crying, my mom's probably crying. Like even talking to them after, like, you didn't tell us you were starting. Like we were so like in shock. We're like,
Yep.
oh my gosh. Like I'm
Yep.
sure they like almost fainted.
Mhm.
Because they've known like all that like emotional, mental like stuff
Struggles,
I've
yeah.
been dealing with
Yep.
because of
Not being able to play.
not being able
Yep.
to play.
That's crazy. So basically the whole time, your coach was really he really wanted you to play, but just things were just interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. So how long, like did you spend at that club? Like how was it there?
Oh, I spent my whole season. I mean, the whole season there. But
Yep.
as you know, like Colombian soccer is one of the shorter seasons for females.
Mm-hmm.
Because the men have a long season. It's just the females, just really short. It's something they should work on.
Yep, absolutely.
But after that season, I'm telling you, I was so impacted by the reality of female footballers in that country that I like had to step away from it to like get educated
Yep,
and find out how I can help that.
absolutely.
Because me seeing my teammates like not have enough money for like lunch, I couldn't believe it.
Really?
It was crazy.
Yep.
And it's because at the time this club was going through like financial problems, so they weren't able to like pay us on time sometimes. It was more towards the end of the season. And then even before that, there was like a lot of other things
Yep.
that me, a D1 athlete, coming to seeing this as a pro, I was like,
Yeah, no.
this is not.
Yep.
This is not
What
it.
are some other realities that if you don't mind sharing,
Yeah.
for people wondering?
And I'm speaking from my experience
Absolutely.
in 2019
Yep.
for this club. So at first, the females, the professional female players, weren't allowed to play at the club's facility or
Weren't
train.
allowed.
We weren't allowed because the head coach at the time of the men's said we were a distraction to the men. So we weren't allowed to go
That's
there.
crazy.
So we had to just figure out where to train,
What?
figure out what field to use. So we were like, the season was like we were playing in like a high school, like training in a high school field. Then we had to go to another field or facility, and this facility like had so many like, just looking at the field, like it was dangerous.
Yeah.
And we had to change like in our cars. We didn't have locker rooms or anything. And then
No way.
to go to the bathroom, like we had to pay like, it was like coins to pay to use the bathroom, and it wasn't the best quality. So like some of us would just like go into the bushes or something, you know?
Yep.
And like you're a professional, right? And like you're doing these things, and
What?
and these girls, like, this is the reality of them, so they think this is all normal.
Yeah.
But like me coming in, I'm like, this is not, like,
Exactly,
in my mind,
this is
I'm like, this is normal. I'm living it through them too, like with them, but just reflecting afterwards, I'm like, this is not normal.
Absolutely.
You're a professional.
Yep.
And then eventually they fired, I think, the president or the head coach of the men's left. So then like mid-season, we were then able to train at the facility, at the club's facility.
Yep, there you go.
But this facility is like super far from even the city. Like it took almost like 2 to 3 hours to get there in your bus. And like a lot of these girls don't have a car because they don't have the resources to buy a car. So a lot of them have motorcycles and stuff, or don't even have a means of transportation. So the club had to figure out how to get us all there. And they gave us the bus of the men's equipment. So it was like a little bus, not even like the club's bus. It was like a little bus where the men's equipment was.
That's crazy.
So we were all like, you know, bunched up. Like we had to wake up. Oh, the only reason we could train there, or the only way we could train there, is if we practiced before the men's. So the men's practice at 9 a.m. We had to be done before that.
So what time was you guys' practice?
So we would wake up. I'm telling you what I had to do.
Absolutely.
I had to wake up at 4 a.m. every day with my roommates. We had to run outside to get a taxi, to then get another taxi maybe, and then get into like the bus stop. And then that's where the bus picks us up. And then it picks up like all the girls around. Then you finally get there. So you have to train like, I think it was like at 7 a.m. maybe, or 8? No, 7 a.m.
Yeah. And be done by 9.
Be done by 9. And then you just see the men like just coming like in all of their cars. Like, you know?
That's crazy.
And you have like the people like cleaning their shoes for them, and like they cleaned even the equipment for them. Like we had to wash our own, like hand wash our own like uniforms.
That's crazy. like you could see the contrast in the treatment that the men were getting and the women were getting.
And you're both professional, you know.
That's ridiculous.
And also I remember the men would get like fruits and like food before practice or after, and then they just felt so bad that we didn't get anything, that they would just then share it with us too, you know.
That's so messed up.
And then
man.
another thing is the bus that, you know, brought us there, they couldn't take us back to all of our stops because of the equipment. So like at this point the equipment is more valuable than us.
Yep.
So we just had to be in the bus, and then it would just leave us at a bus stop, all of us.
Yep.
And then we just had to figure out how to get home.
That's so messed up. Man.
And that was my experience that year. But it was still good.
Yeah.
I played pro from my first year.
Pro.
I got to meet amazing people. Like I got to play. My dad's childhood dream came through to me, through me. So it's still good, but it's just that other side, that the reality that a lot of people don't know.
Yep. And you said something about, you know, you had to step back to learn about it all so that you could help.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. Like you know, how did the whole process of learning, what did you learn, and how were you able to help?
So after that experience, I wanted to just get educated about it and like help it. I'm like, how does this business run? Like, how can I do something about this?
Yep.
This
How can we
is not
change?
good. Yeah. I just went online and I started seeing programs like business schools or like master program, sports. Then I even went like farther, and then I found this school called the Football Business Academy, the
Okay.
FBA.
Oh, yeah. I've heard
Yeah.
about that.
So I applied for it, did a motivational letter, interviews, all of this stuff, and I got in. So that was like my next path. I'm like, I think I want to do this business so then I can create opportunities and make this better. And then at the same time, just randomly, like, again, I don't know if it's like synchronicity or what it is, but then I got an opportunity to intern for CONCACAF in the women's department.
Yep.
And then I met like Karina LeBlanc. She was the head at the time, and I was so inspired by her because she was always like for women's sports, for women's football, trying to create opportunities.
Absolutely.
She did this whole strategy.
Yep.
Then I was like found myself in the meetings of like FIFA and like all these plans and programs for girls in other countries like the CONCACAF region, like the Caribbean and stuff, that it's also like a barrier for girls to play and the stereotypes and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So then I was like going to this internship like oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Like this is another dream. I get to like, you know, learn more about how to create opportunities for women in soccer. Absolutely love that experience. And my internship was for I think like 4 months. I don't remember how long. And obviously the pandemic hit.
Oh, the pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But it was a good timing for me because then I was starting my master's program during the pandemic.
Yep. So what were you trying to do? Like, what were you trying to do with your master's? Like, what were you studying?
So the master's is football business master's.
Oh.
So it's business focused on football only.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds very interesting.
And it's at the time it was we went to school in Portugal. It's like the last module of the class of the whole program. The last months are in Portugal, but then you also have to do an internship. So I had another internship as well while I did that. Then you work on group projects. But then for me, the best part and the most like educational part, I would say, was the end, because you got to Portugal. You got to meet all your classmates. You got to explore Portugal, which is beautiful.
Yep.
And then you learn from all these professors in person, and you have to do presentations, and you have to really like do research and do group projects about clubs and just learn how they're run and everything. It was a lot of like European clubs at the time. I'm sure it's like more open now, but I learned so much there.
Interesting. Do you need any like prerequisites before you could, you know, try and undergo like a football master's? Like, how does?
Yeah, at the time, I don't know how it is now, but at the time I remember you had to have like a bachelor's. In
like a specific in business, or?
Like sports management was my bachelor, and that qualified. Or like even real life experience in the industry, or like in certain in certain like, how do you say, like roles or
certain titles.
And then you have to write a motivational letter so they get to know why you want to do this master's, and then you go through like this interview process, and then eventually that's when you get like
that's really cool
into the program.
So how long was that, you know? How long was the program?
It was a bit extended for me because of the pandemic, but it was like over a year.
Over a year?
Yeah.
Just only 1 year for
a year, yeah.
Interesting. And then, you know, what some country you said? Portugal? Was it like mostly just Portugal, or did you get to go to other countries as well?
Before Portugal, it was in Switzerland. I think that's where the headquarters, because that's where FIFA is, that's where UEFA is. So I thought I was going to go to FIFA headquarters and all of this, but it's fine. I ended up going to Portugal, and it was amazing because also during that trip, you get to go to all these other clubs in Portugal. So like Porto, like all these other clubs that we got to visit and learn from the people that are actually working there. And even you get professors, like guest lectures from like people that work in Real Madrid or like Premier League teams. So you get this insight knowledge about all these clubs, and also the network that it gives you, not just because of the students are in your master's program, but like the alumni and then all the professors. So it's a big network that you have. It's like a family.
Absolutely.
Soccer family.
That sounds really interesting. I might even look into that too.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So after that, you know, year of going your bachelor, your master's, what was next? You know, like what was the next step after all of that?
Yeah. After I graduated my master's, I came back home, and you know, everyone all of my classmates were already applying, even from like day one, applying to a lot of jobs in the football business, because everyone that goes there, that's their dream, to work in the football business, to like, and the dream is to like work for Barcelona, and this big dream. And it's like as hard as like playing pro for Barcelona, I would say. Like the business side is also not as easy as people think to get into.
Exactly.
And it's also a lot about connections.
Yep.
So all my classmates, I saw them like every day applying, and I was like just going with the flow. Like I was just there present, and I was learning. And I got back, and I knew I wanted to stay home for a bit, like in Miami. So I only applied for like CONCACAF and like Inter Miami at the time. And from Inter Miami, I found this position that was communications. And at the time, I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Like, but I'm like, do I want to work a 9 to 5? I don't know.
Yeah.
I still like, I love playing football. Like I love being outside and all of this. So
like traveling, man, experiencing
like,
new things.
Yeah. So I applied, and like I went through the interview process, but then at the end, just randomly, I don't know how the universe works. It's magic. I got a job offer from Tech Ball, actually.
Oh, yeah. Okay, wow.
And at first, I'm going to be so honest, but I thought it was a scam. I'm like, you're going to pay me like this salary to just play Tech Ball on the beach, and that's it?
Wow, that sounds beautiful.
But then I found out it's like a legit company. You know, the CEO called me, and like I'm like, oh, okay, this is real. Like this is amazing. You know, I get to be outside. I get to also learn about like business and have that experience, and just be more around the game. And I took the job, and I became a Miami Techer. It's called at the time.
Miami Techer, okay.
So we grew the Miami market, the Miami community of Tech Ball players. Myself. My team and I at the time, and we just mixed it with like our soccer community.
Wow.
So
that's interesting.
It started growing.
Yeah.
I worked for like 2 years until I decided that I wanted to play pro again.
Oh, okay. So you spent 2 years, you know, in the tech ball industry, if you will.
Yeah.
And then you went back to play pro. Where did you end up playing?
I didn't think I was gonna play pro again, because I was so focused on like, and even in Colombia, like I was so focused on, at the time I was focused on tech ball. I'm like, oh, I want to be the best tech ball player in the world. Like I want to be one of the best tech ball players, because part of the job was you also had to compete. And then I started learning more about the game, and like playing against like some of the best tech ball players in the world, and also with like, I got to play with one of the best ones too. And I was having these experiences with the best techers in the world.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, wow, it's amazing. But at the same time, we're also doing like a lot of soccer activations. And I'm like, oh, I missed the game.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and I started playing in like more soccer leagues, and I missed it so much.
Yep.
So then that's when I decided like, I'm going to try it again, you know. It's been 4 years since I played pro.
Yep.
So I don't know how this is going to be like in my mind, but I just went for it again. And it's again with that vision. I'm like,
absolutely,
I want to play pro again. I know I don't have recent experience. I know it's been 4 years, but
I'm going to make it happen.
I'm going to try my best. And yeah, that's how I made it. But
interesting.
But getting there wasn't easy.
And how long did you end up playing?
Oh, I played a whole season again in Colombia.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And then after that, you know, what was the next steps after that?
Again, impacted by a lot of things, because the club also was going through financial problems. And it wasn't an easy season, because I was playing out of position the whole time. But I used that as an excuse of me like not being my best version. Instead of like just being present. And like towards the end of that season, I realized like, I think this may be it, you know?
Yep. So the last topic, right, before I wrap up, talk to me about boot bag.
Yay!
Talk to me about that. What is boot bag?
Boot bags is a 2-part project.
Okay.
Of connecting sports to fashion and a charity that gives back to kids in need.
Absolutely.
Through the game.
Yep.
So we have these bags. This is like our off-the-field bag. It's a crossbody. And we also have boot bags that are for your cleats. But it has a special component because... so for 5 bags we sell, it gives us an opportunity to get cleats for a child that doesn't have the resources. For example, an annual event that we do is in Jamaica. And in Jamaica, we do an annual give back where we go to a lot of schools and have all these kids that don't have the resources for cleats, for example, and we just donate all the cleats to them.
Interesting. And how long have you been with boot bags?
A couple months,
Okay.
like officially.
Yep.
I'm the new CEO of the company, but I've always been like in love with what it is.
Absolutely.
You know, since
Absolutely.
I think 2020 or 2021 when I met the co-founder.
Yep.
And I did a shoot for them, and I fell in love with it.
Interesting.
And it's what I do now.
Yep. And tell us about, you know, the events you guys are doing.
Oh yeah. At the same time, we have I would say like a startup, and it's called ABFC. It's Art Brings Friends Closer, or Art Basel FC. And it's an event during Art Basel in Miami, and we do all kinds of things. We do an adult soccer tournament, a kids tournament. We have freestyling. We have soccer-inspired art galleries. We do art battles, panel discussions, and then this last year we did a storytelling part with Go Click and Heard Story, where, you know, people like us, we just go on stage and we just tell our football story.
Interesting.
And they guide you through the whole process on how to story tell.
Yep.
So that was an amazing experience as well. And you're just connecting the whole community of football.
Absolutely. That sounds fantastic. That sounds like something I would love to be a part of.
You should. You should come. And we're also thinking of doing one this summer.
Oh.
We're working on it.
Yep. Absolutely.
But a lot of people don't know that it's all like voluntary. Like it's like our side job, but it's also our passion project.
Yep, absolutely.
Like we don't get paid for doing this, and it's a lot of work, but we do it for the community.
Exactly. And it's passion, right?
Yeah.
Is there any advice you would like to give to any female athlete out there that wants to, you know, that wants to make it into the college industry, or into the college system? They want to go pro, whether it be in or outside of the U.S. Any advice you would like to give them?
I think one of the best advice I could give is to believe in yourself and work on that dream. Like focus on that dream, whatever it is. It could be like you want to play pro, like focus on that, work towards it. Or if you want to go to college, like work on that. And then also not just on the physical side, but also on the mental side. It's so important.
Interesting.
And I feel like a lot of people don't work on it as much as they should.
Yep.
And as well, like get to know more people, like connections, like speak up more, talk about what you want to do with, I don't know, like coaches, ask for their help. Like, because coaches are there to help you. And sometimes they can like bring you an opportunity.
Yep.
And they can connect you to other people if they can't help you.
Yep.
But definitely like put in the work. That will hopefully get you to where you want to be.
Absolutely.
And never give up on it.
Never give up on it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Paula, it was so good having you on the podcast. I thank you for, you know, coming on, trusting us to tell your story, and I hope, you know, we'll be able to do some other collaborations in the future.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right.
This is fun.
This has been episode 41 of the Football Alone podcast with Paula Quintero, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.